also want to say that when I am elected, I will be the candidate that comes to the community, like the Lower East Side neighbors that are trying to fight the waterfront, like Chinatown Working Group, like the NMAS. Like, you have to go to organizations and get organized with Community Board 1, 2, and 3 and have them co-sponsor this bill all over again. Because if not, it's not just gonna happen in our district. In the 5 boroughs, there's gonna be a massive displacement. So what I would be willing to do is sue the city of New York if they don't wanna pass that bill, okay? Because I believe that I am the candidate to do that. As a matter of fact, Margaret Chin just recently had a press conference the other day. And at her press conference, she's been using my platform. She actually said she would sue the Department of City Planning if they did not ask for ULURP for the waterfront. She's never said that. Go look online. She couldn't even get the words out of her mouth because she's taking my platform, and I want to pat myself on the back for that because I've moved her to the left, okay? So at least I've already won by the fact that she's talking about minor site modifications, that buildings aren't minor site modifications, when she said those buildings were as of right, and now she's talking about suing the Department of City Planning. So what I would do is sue the city of New York to make sure the Chinatown Working Group plan, along with all you guys, would you sue with me? Yes. Would you sue with me? Would you guys sue with me? Okay, so let's sue the city of New York. Okay, that's what we need to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. And it's refreshing to hear that all of the new candidates are in favor of passing this full plan and not piece by piece the way that Margaret Chin is proposing. And I think a lot of these issues are very important, and we could, we'd love to discuss them more, but there's not enough time in this forum. We really want to talk about the candidates and hear their positions. But we're going to have a follow-up meeting on Wednesday, August 30th at 6 p.m. In order to further discuss these issues, because this is something that is important to our coalition and to many of you in this room. Now I want to introduce. I wanted to introduce Naomi Garcia, who's a member of Youth Against Displacement.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Naomi, and I live in Rutgers, and I'm part of the Youth Against Displacement group. Everyone thought Rutgers was safe because public housing, Everyone thought Rutgers was safe because it's public housing, but my building was sold to Citigroup 7 years ago. Most of my friends have had to move out of the neighborhood and move far away because even though they grew up here, they can't afford to live here anymore. The current administration does not encourage youth to stay and fight to better their community, but instead, they encourage our displacement, to move out and let wealthier people take over the community. So what are your legislative steps you will take to address the issue and support youth in our community to stay permanently?
Thanks, Naomi. This is a very important question because, as you've seen with Spura, 40 years ago, those families were kicked off of what then became empty lots for years and years, and now the next generations have moved out and created lives in other parts of the city. Or a lot of them growing up here, like Naomi is saying, can't even afford to stay in their own community. And so what measures will you take to ensure that, for generations to come, people can stay?
So I would like to talk a little bit more about the environmental regulations and how we can use the environment and the importance of the environment to actually stop some of these developments. And that is, we haven't talked yet tonight about resiliency. So a lot of the waterfront is very vulnerable. And I don't know about you, but I lived through Hurricane Sandy. And I was flooded out of my apartment for 3 weeks. Right, and what I've called for is a complete moratorium on waterfront development until the coastline is protected. And this is actually a real thing, folks. Who else lived through Hurricane Sandy here in this room? All right, so many of us. And what's the most insane thing that we are doing right now? The Extel Tower, I'm told it's almost to the top, although it keeps getting taller every day, it seems. What's gonna happen during the next big hurricane? That building's gonna get flooded, and guess who's gonna come crawling to the taxpayers, to you and me for a bailout? The luxury developers, the wealthy, and all the foreigners who bought units in that building. That is totally wrong. So we need to fight on the environment. We all saw what Hurricane Sandy did to this neighborhood. We actually can't afford new development because all we're doing is creating additional problems for the future. What Margaret Chin has done, what the mayor has done, what the Department of City Planning is doing, the Department of Buildings is doing, they're just building another house of cards. They're creating another real estate bubble. They're making us even more vulnerable to climate change in the future, and you and I are gonna foot the bill. That's wrong, and that's why I'm running for city council.
I just wanted to restate the question because I think this is a really important question because people in this neighborhood are really encouraged to move out. They're told that this neighborhood, they should have the freedom to move wherever they want to get a better life, to succeed, and that's not true. That people should fight for this community, to stand up in this community and improve it. So I would like to redirect the question. What are you gonna do to ensure that generations to come can stay in this neighborhood and fight for it and protect it and improve it in the way that it should be cherished and valued and protected?
I will answer the question. I will actually answer the question. So, what the first thing I would do is reinstate the 421A first preference, because right now that legislation was updated and first preference was taken out, which means that the community no longer has the dibs on the apartments anymore. You can't apply. You're just like anybody else out of state, and that's not fair because they're using our tax dollars. First preference was put in the 421A so that the community could swallow these big buildings that are going up, so that we had an opportunity to get in there. But I would do something even more for you, okay? What I would do is create legislation for the actual AMI of the area, where we have a market rate AMI and a low income AMI. And those developers would have to abide by that. And I would also go a little further than that. I would make developers not do the 25% affordable housing that, by the way, is not affordable to anyone in the 5 boroughs. $60,000 a year is not low income, okay? $60,000 a year is not low income. And I would also like to say that the waterfront development that's being built right now, the Extel Tower, will not have a problem of being flooded because the generators are so high up. The NYC buildings and the surrounding areas will be looking at people that have lights. We will have no lights, even though I don't live over there, but I know you guys won't have any lights. Thank you very much. That's what I intend to do as your city councilwoman.
What I'll do is that when we have new affordable units is make it perpetual affordable. Because right now, new affordable units are only lasting for 30 years. 2 generations of families won't be able to stay in that apartment or stay in that community. And I think that's the biggest issue. We need affordable units that remain affordable forever for the people that built this community. And I agree with Daisha. The AMI and the algorithm to actually formulate it is completely off. For example, in Joanna's, where you live in your neighborhood, the AMI of your 3-block radius is $16,000. And so when you look at a new affordable unit being around $45,000 to $60,000, there's no way that our community could live in this neighborhood. And so I will restructure the AMI, and I'll make sure that our affordable units remain affordable forever. Thank you.
Another thing I would do is exercise the power that a city council member has to stop the executive branch from exercising the scams that they have. In addition to the minor site review loophole, there's another loophole that they call a minor alteration. And what the Department of Buildings does, you can tear down a beautiful old building and leave one little wall standing. And then you can totally replace that building with a luxury condo or whatever you want, as long as you keep that teeny tiny wall and it's merely a minor modification, and then you don't have to go through the whole land use process. So it's time that we have common sense regulations, and it's time that we hold our agencies, our regulators, accountable, because they are accountable to us, they are accountable to you, the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Now I'm going to pass the mic to Tanya.
Good evening. I want to first thank the candidates for coming out, your efforts and your participations. Really appreciate it. My name is Tanya Castro-Negron. I'm a resident leader of Lands End 2 Resident Association. That is 265 and 275 Cherry Street. I am also a member of Lesson, Lower East Side Organized Neighbors. I had the opportunity to sit on the LSRD EIS task force convened by Margaret Chin and other elected officials. I will say at that table, we worked with developers, and there was no talk of stopping these mega towers at all. It was more of mitigation. We spoke about mitigation, we spoke about the CEM process, we spoke about EIS processes. There was nothing about, let's go into that, yeah.